Proposed labor rule could give millions of gig workers employee status. This ought to be interesting. The Biden administration is proposing a new rule that could classify millions of gig workers as employees, a move that would challenge the low-cost labor models behind Silicon Valley heavyweights such as Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash. The proposed rule, announced by the Labor Department on Thursday, aims to broaden the test that determines whether workers are entitled to protections such as minimum wage and overtime pay under federal law. While independent contractors have an important role in our economy, we have seen in many cases that employers misclassify their employees as independent contractors, particularly among our nation's most vulnerable workers, said Secretary of Labor Marty Walsh in a statement Tuesday. The new rule would affect workers in a wide range of industries like home care, trucking, delivery services, and hospitality. According to the Labor Department, shares of Uber and Lyft, whose drivers are considered independent contractors, fell more than 10% in trading Tuesday on the news of the proposed rule. See that? So these people who invest, they want to make money off the backs of people who are doing the real work. See? So because the Secretary of Labor came out and proposed this rule, all of a sudden people pull their money out. Fell by more than 10%. So this is the way it is in America, capitalism. You work, you go out there, you do the hard work, and somebody else make money off of you. Shares of DoorDash fell roughly 6%. DoorDash, those are that company. They hire people to deliver like food and so forth. Those guys are, especially here in New York City, they ride those e-bikes. Many times, sometimes they become victims of crime. People stealing their bike, people robbing them of their money. In a statement, Uber called the proposal a measured approach, while noting that its drivers consistently and overwhelmingly state that they prefer the flexibility that comes from being an independent contractor. Lyft said the rule would not reclassify their drivers as employees and would not force the company to change their business model. A 45-day public comment period on the proposed rule will start October 13th. Gig workers Rising, an advocacy group, praised the Biden administration proposal. For years, gig corporations have exploited outdated labor laws to avoid all responsibilities for their workers, said Rhonda Gant, an Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash driver based in San Francisco. This rule can help establish bedrock protections for app-based workers like me and give us an important tool to fight for respect and safety on the job. The proposed rule would broaden the tests the Labor Department uses to determine whether a worker is an employee or independent contractor. This contains several factors, including whether the work is an integral part of the employer's business, how much control the company has over the worker, and whether the worker has control over their own earnings. This rule would further clarify whether the worker is economically dependent on the employer for work and is thus an employee, or is in business for themselves and is thus an independent contractor. The Labor Department said Tuesday. Misclassification deprives workers of their federal labor protections, including their right to be paid their full legally earned wages, said Walsh. The new rule would repeal the 2021 independent contractor rule, which narrowed the qualifications for employees. The National Retail Federation, a trade group representing the largest U.S. retailers, opposes the new rule and argues the change would only hurt businesses by driving up costs. The changes being proposed by the Labor Department will significantly increase costs for businesses across all industries and further drive already rampant inflation, said David French, Senior Vice President of Government Relations at the National Retail Federation, Tuesday. This decision will only foster massive confusion, endless litigation, reduced innovation, and fewer opportunities for employees and independent contractors alike. See, just I think was it last week or a lady called me and offered me a job at the Metropolitan Detention that the federal government runs down in Brooklyn and Sunset Park to work in the clinic. But it's as an independent contractor. Just like this article is saying, if you're an independent contractor, how much of a business is yours? You can understand if you're an independent contractor. Let's say somebody hires you to do some work. Let's say maybe from home or so forth, where you're making something or what have you, that you're running a business and they're getting some service out of you, then yeah, sure. That sounds more like an independent contractor, where you have everything already underground. You're probably making stuff or maybe hiring people to do some work. That sounds like independent contractor. But when you hire somebody to work like in a prison, and you just pay them off a 1099 form instead of a W-2, and they have no benefits, and it's for like a whole year, and it could be extended, then what's in that? There's nothing, because when you work like every 3 months, you have to pay your own taxes. You have to pay like your Social Security taxes, the payroll tax that you send to the IRS, and so forth. You have to do all that yourself. So, and that job isn't like me using any particular equipment and so forth to say, that I'm an independent contractor. To me, that's just taking advantage of people. So I said, no way. I turned it down, and I figure a lot of people in this kind of predicament where companies just want to abuse them and get rich off of them, instead of appreciating who they are and for the labor that they put in. So they deem you an independent contractor. So you get a 1099 form and go pay your own taxes instead of a W-2 form.